everybody! Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing and bringing you Andrea Dell, the queen of consistency and badass copywriter, public speaker extraordinaire. So I met Andrea back in, I first connected with her in 2017 through Unstoppable Influence, surprise, surprise. And I got to see Andrea really grow and expand. In fact, she just reposted her first Facebook Live that she did back in 2017. I called you, I don't know if you heard me say public speaker extraordinaire, but it wasn't always that way, right? Looking back at your very first Facebook Live, I remember, your topic was, and I didn't die. So it's been wonderful to watch you really step into your power and own your ability to lead people, because you really are a badass, honestly. Sometimes a little intimidating, I have to say. Like a couple of times I met you, I was like, oh gosh, she's a badass. She knows what she's talking about. I'm a little intimidated by this powerful woman. So anyway, I love you to death, and I'm so happy that you're here with us. That's my brief introduction of how I know you and what I know that you do. If you will expand upon that and let people know a little bit more.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm super honored to be here on your 101-day video journey. And public speaker extraordinaire, yeah, that's a pretty recent thing, public speaking. So what I do is support high-octane, mission-driven entrepreneurs whose messages fit what I would consider hope and healing. They facilitate that in the world. And currently the main way I support them is either by writing their content for them, some of it, or helping them to do it for themselves, both with content training and then talking about the mindset of content. It's very interesting. There's plenty of content training in the world, but if you're not in a place mentally or emotionally where you will actually share your content, then all the training in the world doesn't do you any good. And so I've very recently, in fact, started to shift to talking more about I call them content blockers that I see get in the way of people sharing their message, including me at one point. If you saw my first live there, boy, that took some doing to actually record that thing and post it. It's pretty amusing. I really had to work up to it. And then Natasha Hazlett's kind of said, look, get it out there. And so I did. And yeah, amusingly, the fear of it was worse than actually doing it. So.
Right? It sometimes just takes that first step to just get over yourself and move forward with whatever it is that you're trying to do. So the mindset of writing content, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So the mindset of writing content is, it depends on what your goals are, but let's say your goal is to share a message, whether to build a business or just to serve people in some way. The hardest part is, I would say for most people, believing that their message is worth sharing and then actually sharing it. It's very easy to overthink it. It's very easy to think about the people who won't be served by it instead of the people who will. It's very easy it doesn't have.
Uh-oh. Oh, yes.
Think about all the reasons that, oh, I can't, I shouldn't, I'm not ready. And really, those are all stories. You're ready now. And even if you don't know, for example, I shared that my mission is to facilitate hope and healing in the world. I'm doing that now by supporting high octane mission driven entrepreneurs that are wanting to do that or are currently doing that. But when I started that first live video, I had no idea that that's what my mission was. I was just doing the video for the experience of doing the video. There's value in the experience of sharing your message, even if you haven't identified your topic that you're going to talk about or your mission yet. Sometimes it's the experience of doing it that helps you find that. The clarity comes from the action, not from only sitting around thinking about it. I think about stuff a lot, so there's value in deep thinking, but at some point you got to jump and do the action. You got to take the action, and that often brings a lot of clarity.
So how did you get connected with such powerful people? Like, I don't know if you can share some of the names of your clients, but I know some of my viewers know some of your clients. So if you can share them, feel free. But you really work with some amazing entrepreneurs that are million-dollar earners. So how, if somebody's looking to make those connections, how do they find these people? What did it take for you?
So that's a very interesting question. And what I did was very different than what a lot of people do or say to do. In my case, there was no cold outreach. I started by becoming a product of their product. And when I did this, I had no idea that this was the path that it was taking me on. No idea. But I started with the Code Red Lifestyle, which is a nutrition program. I lost all my weight. I've kept it off for over 4 years, but I became a product of the product. I did the product proud, if you will, and that got me noticed. And then I had the skill of writing, and I'm a natural mimic. My mom says that when I was a kid, she remembers me sitting on the floor watching TV, reciting commercials word for word. So I'm just naturally can mimic. And there are a lot of people in the world who have businesses, and it's not that they can't write their own content or that their writing's not good. Very often with the people that I write for, it's excellent, and it's very them. They're very tuned into their own voice. It's just a time issue. They want to have someone that can do the content for them. So that was the case with the Code Red Lifestyle. Writing some of the content so that Christy Code Red didn't have to do it all herself, and it just freed up her time. And so that's, but the reason that even happened is because I became a product of the product. So that was one element of it. Another element of it was the connections. So the networking. Even after I became a product of Christy's products, she wanted to bring me on. I don't know if it would have been in this capacity. So I joined Natasha Hazlett's inner circle, and Christy was a client of Natasha's as well. And she trusted Natasha's judgments. And so Natasha, that connection facilitated us working together. From there, I got to begin doing a little work for Unstoppable Influence, and then just my presence and I became a product of Unstoppable Influence too before that happened. So, and then many of the other clients I have, I'm not a product of their product, but there's a couple where I am. And so that's just, I'm someone who likes to go deep. That works for me. Superficial stuff is hard for me. And so for that reason, the flip side is I may go deep on stuff that maybe I shouldn't. But when I go in, I'm all in. And people notice when you have these high octane mission-driven entrepreneurs who are in it to make the world a better place, they like to hire and work with people who are a product of their product. They look for that. And so my strategy has been to do that, to become a product of their product, see what I think, and I get the benefit of becoming a product of their product, even if I don't end up writing for them. And then I stand out to them. None of these people that I became a product of their product, I did not actually reach out to them and say, hey, can I write for you? They came to me. And that's pretty amazing. Given when I started, I had no experience doing this. I'm a writer. I love to write. I've been writing, but it's pretty
And
cool what happens when you get out there in the ways that work for you.
yeah, and you start using your voice to really tap into the effects that some of these things have had on you, that has made you stand out as well. And I did call you the queen of consistency, because seriously, I see you constantly making your posts, and I can't even remember a day that I didn't see something from you pop up either in my inbox, because I'm on your email list, or in Facebook. So it's really great to see. So were you doing copywriting prior to jumping into Code Red and Unstoppable Influence? Was that part of your life and this has just helped you expand?
So, yes and no. I had been studying copywriting for a couple of years by that point. I would not say I was really doing it. I worked at a newspaper and I did ad design and also wrote articles and some other things. It was a small paper, so we all wore many hats. And I started to weave in some bits and pieces of copywriting in article headlines or advertising when I could. And I say that because a lot of advertising sucks. I'm sorry to say. It's here's our store hours, here's our phone number, we're great, come buy from us, is essentially what they do. They don't, there's not a lot of understanding of the value copywriting can bring to that. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to practice it. I did start weaving it in where I could. I don't know if I would call that the same experience that I'm having now, where I'm writing emails, blog posts, captions for social posts, video scripts, sales pages, and so on. It wasn't really that kind of thing.
With your skill of mimicking, do you sometimes find it difficult to turn off one person's voice to get into even your own voice or someone else's? Like, how do you switch in your own head from one voice to the next?
That's a great question. Because my mimic ability is, it just kind of happens. I'm sure that with more mindfulness, I could have better mastery over it, more mastery, but I do blend with my clients' voices a little bit. It's like I take a little piece of them with me when I write for them enough. And so there's that. If they have specific phrases they say, those often make their way into my wording. And I usually notice when it happens and go, oh, there it is again. So I don't fight that too much, but I also notice it. And I would say that, yes, I think it does impact my natural voice a little bit. I'm not sure if I can put this into words, Jessica, how I do it, but sometimes I will go read something they wrote. Sometimes I will listen to them talk, a video they did. And that fast forwards, switching from one to the other. And that also helps me get straight into their voice. If it's someone I've been writing for a long time, then I don't necessarily have to do that to get into their voice or to switch from one to the other. But that makes it happen a lot faster if I need that, which on a busy day with a lot of content to do, that definitely helps. So I don't know if that really answered the question.
Yeah, it did. It did. I was just curious myself, so I figured somebody else might be curious as well. Getting back to your own content and sharing your message and trying to get past some of those blocks, can you touch on blocks that come up for people and how you can overcome those to get their messages out? Because not everybody's ready to hire a copywriter who can take their words and turn it into magic like you do.
Right. And that's exactly why I started branching out on this different side, was to help the people who aren't in a position to hire a ghostwriter or a copywriter. So the solution for all the blocks is there's kind of just one, I would say, but let me talk about some of the blocks. So one of the blocks is focusing on the people that you're not right for. They're not ready for you. They never will be. They're not the people you can best serve. We often do this by not putting our message out there because we're afraid we'll get a nasty or argumentative comment. That is contorting whether you share your message around the people who aren't right for it. It might be you don't send the email, you don't record the video, or you don't post the video, whatever it looks like. It's you not sharing your message out of fear of what the people who aren't right for you will think. So that's a big one. And I would say that one is more kind of an umbrella for a lot of the other ones, like fear of rejection. If they're rejecting you, they're not right for you. Fear of abandonment and fear of judgment. Those are all kind of tied together. Again, it's the people who aren't right for you that you're thinking about when you do that. The people who unsubscribe from your email list. Well, I don't want to email too often. I email daily. You know, I don't want to email too often because someone might get mad and unsubscribe. If they're going to get mad and unsubscribe, or even not get mad, it might just be they go, I don't have the band. I like you, but not that much. I don't have the bandwidth. That's fine. Then you're not right for my email list, and that's okay. You're not probably going to want to go as deep with me as is going to work for my business model. So that's okay. And you might sacrifice sales, but I'm the go deep type. Quality over quantity for me. Not everyone's like that. That's me. And so I structure these things strategically to bring in the people who want the quantity. So that's another one, is how much do I communicate to where I'm scaring away too many people? And it is a way to filter who is most interested in your message versus those who are kind of so that's one I've got a list here. Another one is the fear of imperfect action. So everything's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be figured out. Everything's got to be created. It's just got to be spot on. I have to have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, or I'm not going to do anything. And believe me, I get that. That's the flip side of going deep, is that you can overthink things. It's good to think, but then there's overthinking, right? And I have gotten past that by taking a lot of imperfect action. So my first draft post on my personal Facebook page, not allowed to edit except for typos, not allowed to reread. That's how one way that I trained myself to take more imperfect action. So that's another content blocker. The fear of success, interestingly, the way that's shown up for me is, if my business grows, will I be able to handle all this money, all the taxes, all the attention? Oh my gosh, I want to be successful, but then there's this flip side to it that I'm really scared of. And so, and I don't know how conscious this one is for a lot of people, but there's a party that's going, if I get too big, then I'll have all this crap to deal with. And so I'm going to play just a little bit smaller to avoid that next level. And then looking down at my list here, there's a very interesting one about just not believing in your stuff, not believing it has value, not believing you have value. So no one wants to hear this. What's the point of putting it out there? No one wants to hear this. No one needs this. And what can really, in your minds, you being the global you, reiterate this to you is when you don't get reactions from people. You ask for a reply in your email and no one replies. You put a post or a video out on Facebook and no one tunes in live, or they don't heart it, or they don't like it, or they don't comment. It's just it's a form of lack focusing on that, but you're not getting the feedback that strokes your ego, to be blunt. And so you're figuring, well, it's not worth the effort and no one's paying attention. which is not true, I found, but I can see why. And I navigate this all the time. Not enough people are joining my list or subscribing to my YouTube channel. I don't have a YouTube channel. That's just an example, or whatever it is. I'm not getting the response I think I should. And so my stuff doesn't have value and I don't have value. Those are some of the top ones that I see consistently trip people up and have tripped me up.
Yet you're still posting regularly. You're still consistent in what you do. Where have you found this ability to just do it?
So part of that is my do it or don't do it, go deep personality trait, but just as much, if not more, is I'm showing up for the people who do want to hear from me. And so this is the solution that I was talking about that basically solves all these other ones. You focus on the people that you can best serve. You choose your offers. You create your offers for them. You send your emails for them. You do your videos and your posts for them. You price your products for them. It is for them. You focus on them and how you can best serve them. And when you do that, and it can be easier said than done, but when you do that, that's what I come back to. That's my center that I come back to when I feel myself starting to get into the ego weeds and all that rubbish, is coming back to who can I serve? Who are the people that are paying attention? I'm showing up for them. And when you do that, the rest of the stuff gets easier and easier to manage. It doesn't necessarily magically stop, but it does lift enough of the veil that you keep going.
And it's like any habit, the more you do something, the more comfortable it gets, right?
Yes.
So am I correct in you just launched an app? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
Ooh, tell us about that.
It's I would love to. Thank you for bringing it up. It is first I want to clarify one thing. It's called Andrea Dell Copywriting, but it is a hosted app. So a container app. What that means is, you know how there are companies that host your website? I am paying a company to host my app. It's a company called Learnistic. So to see my app, you follow a simple sign-up process, but you have to do it in order or you won't see mine. And then once you're inside Learnistic, you will see my Andrea Dell Copywriting app. It'll have my picture, my brand colors and all that, my content. But yes, I launched that to have a unique place that's not dependent on social media algorithms, that the people who are most interested in being a part of my world can come to. And if this is another thing where if they're only casually interested or they just don't have the bandwidth, whatever their reasons, they're probably not going to go to the effort to sign up, and that's fine. But it is there for the people who buy products. That's where I'm going to deliver them, and trainings and recordings and things like that. So yes. And another reason I did it, Jess, is because everybody has a phone pretty much, and everybody has their phone with them. So it makes sense to go where they are, and there's no having to log into a membership site or remember passwords or anything. It's tied to your cell phone number. So you just log in with your passcode and it's there. And I did it it's web 3.0. You know how we had web 1.0, web 2.0. I believe that apps are web 3.0. And so I wanted to get ahead of the 8 ball there and go ahead and set one up. So lots of reasons.
Awesome. And we are coming down to the end of our half an hour together, but I do want to touch on what types of products do you offer and teachings do you give to people that they might want to subscribe either to your email list or your app?
So thank you for asking. Right now, you can sign up for my email list and you'll get a 7-day email challenge called the 7-Day Content Accelerator. It is 7 ways to come up with what to write about and take that and to take that topic and multiply it. So even if you aren't sure what to write about, this 7-day email course will walk you through figuring that out and then generating potentially limitless ideas from it. And then in the app, I've created a version of it in the app too that has audios. I just finished an email training program that I'm going to be releasing soon. It's called Email Secrets of 7-Figure Entrepreneurs, and it is what I have learned about writing emails that people enjoy reading and opening and buying from. No one buys from every email. Not every person on your list will never buy everything you offer, but it keeps people interested so that when they are ready to buy, you're there and you're present and the offer is there. So that's what this program is going to teach, what I've learned doing that for almost 4 years straight. And then I've got more products coming on. So the content mindset, Jess, is a recent focus. It's just something I've noticed. Oh, I've got all these things I could teach, but there's all these reasons people are scared to put themselves out there. So the mindset part is a recent pivot, and I am going to be creating trainings on that. I haven't yet, but that's coming too. So if that's something that interests you, getting on my email list is a great way to be notified of that. And that will help get you into the app too, if that interests you.
So do you have any parting words of wisdom to help people just get their message out, find the courage? Because I mean, it took you a lot of courage to do that first Facebook Live, and now you've been on stage speaking. So how do people just do this?
What I did was just start. There's a time for cannonballing in with action. I do think that taking smaller steps has value too. And that's what I did. Before I did that first Facebook Live, I recorded 8 videos to my laptop locally. It was not online. I just recorded them onto my laptop. And then I created a Facebook group, so closed group, put my mom and 2 sisters in it, and then did something like 28, 29 lives into that just in front of my mom and sisters. And believe it or not, that was very nerve-wracking. Just with them in there. And then after that, I kind of got busted by Natasha that I hadn't gone live on my personal page yet. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start over. I was doing 100 lives in 100 days. I just started over with number 1, ripped the Band-Aid off, and just did it. And then I just kept doing it. And there were parts of the journey that were bumpy. There were a couple of videos where I felt like I bumbled over my words. And so I ended them, deleted them, and started over. Even though people were watching, I ended it and deleted it and started over. So I would say, I would describe all that as a willingness to take imperfect action. Just do it to do it. Detach from the outcome a little bit and just do it to do it. So you get the experience of it, and that will evolve you into the person who feels more capable of being more strategic with what you're doing.
That's good stuff. Just to get people into their own voice and find their courage to just do it. And that's everything in life. So many people get stuck, right? Because they're just constantly going, oh, I'm not there yet. I can't show this painting. I can't put this message out. I can't record this video. I can't record this song, because they don't feel like it is pristine and precise yet. But that process is part of the process, right? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Anything else? I guided you in that final comment. If you have any other wisdom that you want to add for everybody, please do.
I'll just add one more thing that I think ties it up nicely with what we just discussed. Let's say that you wanted to play the guitar. You wanted to be the master guitarist. So you read all the books, you watched lessons, online courses, whatever it is, but you never actually picked up a guitar and learned to play it. You have a lot of knowledge, but you never actually picked up the guitar and learned to play it. How likely is it that you're actually going to be a master guitarist? You're not. You've got to pick the guitar up and sound like crap, build the calluses on your fingers and the strength in your hand, and let the muscle memory kick in with all your fingers doing separate things at the same time while you're singing or whatever else you're doing. You've got to have the experience of it before you can be the master. You can't skip being the beginner. You've got to be willing to fumble around and learn by doing before you get to get good at something. So the sooner you get started with the imperfect action, the sooner you get to be good at whatever it is you're wanting to do.
Thank you for that. And you never know who you're going to influence, even with your imperfect action, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And thank you, everybody, for watching. It's so good sharing this time with you, friend.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm really honored. Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
Right.
Bye.
Yes. Good night.